It's been a long day, and we're all so weak. Join me in bed as we read to sleep. Today's story is entitled Daddy's Hands. It's written by me, Selassie K. Let's go. Let's get on our way. Many years ago, before Papa Joe was a man, he wished as a little boy to become a firefighter. He wanted to help save lives and be a town hero. However, his dreams couldn't come true because he had to drop out of school since there was no money to pay his fees. Later in life, Papa Joe met a lady called Lou, and they had a son who they named Mikey. When Mikey was born, Papa Joe knew he had to forget his dreams of being a fireman and figure out how to make money to care for his son. He wanted to make sure Mikey would have a great life so he could chase his dreams someday. Papa Joe loved his new family. Mikey made a lot of friends in school. He became best friends with a boy called Henry when he got to second grade. Every day, Henry will go on and on about how his dad was a superhero police officer. He'd say,
"Without my dad, the city will never be safe. He fights bad guys just like Superman in his cape."
Mikey will always stay quiet during such chats. He was ashamed. What was so special about Garbage Man for a dad? One day, whilst walking back home with Henry, Mikey saw his father's garbage truck pull over. He began to double up his steps so Papa Joe wouldn't see him. However, Henry stopped him and said,
"Look at that man. Ew! I bet he will be stinky. His clothes are dirty. I wouldn't want him in my family."
Henry had no clue that man was Mikey's dad. Mikey said nothing, just remained quiet and sad. Weeks later, it was time for Mikey's school's annual career day, and his class had to send letters home inviting their parents to talk about their day jobs. Mikey was sent home with a letter just like everyone, but he felt too ashamed to have Papa Joe over at school. He didn't want all his friends to know his dad did such a job. Just as he walked through the front lawn of his house that day, he crumpled the letter and threw it into the bin. Or at least, that was what he thought he had done. Later that night, when Papa Joe was taking out the trash, he noticed a crumpled piece of paper next to the bin. He picked it up and opened it only to see the shock of his life. After reading it, he stood sad with tears in his eyes. His little boy was ashamed of him, and that hurt him more than anything. He never knew Mikey felt this way. The next couple of days were very sad for Papa Joe. He tried his best to stay away from Mikey's school so he wouldn't embarrass him anymore. All this time, Mikey had no clue and went about his days. Then came a day Mikey will never forget. A thunderstorm hit the city whilst the kids were in school. All around the city, people had gotten stuck where they were. Cars were stuck in the flood and many people were in panic mode. The kids were very scared and their teachers had to move them into a large hall to keep safe. The fire department and police were all trying to get there and help the situation, but their trucks and cars were all stuck in the flood. A few hours into the storm, the whole city was drowning in the flood. A few brave people were helping to rescue those caught up in the floods. Then something even more terrible occurred at Mikey's school. A power cable had fallen on the roof of the school and caught fire. The fire spread very fast into the building. All the kids had to move into different classrooms. Everyone was scared, and most screamed for Mommy and Daddy. It was a terrible feeling for Mikey. There seemed to be no help coming anytime soon. Papa Joe was one of those trying to rescue people around. His truck was big and strong enough to drive through the storm. He raced through the water to get to the school once he heard about the fire on the radio. With a few tools in the garbage truck, he broke one of the windows of the school and managed to get in. Some teachers joined him as they moved the kids one after the other through the storm. All the children watched Papa Joe with hope as he swam through the cold water to rescue them. Once they were safely moved to the town hall, the kids began to murmur,
"Maybe he's a fireman."
"No," another interrupted.
"He must be a soldier."
Henry, who was so scared from the experience, whispered to Mikey,
"I think this is Superman."
Mikey turned to him and said shamefully,
"He's my dad."
All the kids heard him and stared in surprise. Mikey's dad? Whoa! The days that followed saw Papa Joe on every TV station. He was awarded by the mayor and named a town hero. Everyone wanted to take pictures with him, and every child wanted to meet him. Mikey couldn't even share his father's joy because he was too ashamed for never loving him as the garbage man. Mikey felt terrible and went to his dad one night in tears. He grabbed his father's rough hands and said,
"You are my hero, and I'm so sorry for not celebrating you when no one else did."
Later that year, Papa Joe's dream as a little boy came true. The fire department called him in for training and gave him a job as a firefighter. He was so happy and proud of himself. Mikey was even more proud. He went around school telling everyone his dad used to be a garbage man and he appreciated his father more. Papa Joe's garbage truck had been replaced by a fire truck. Now listen, my darlings. Daddy's hands, whether rough or smooth, are the reason you get your food. Dad works so hard so you don't have to lack. Be proud of Daddy's hands because he'll always have your back. And now we're done. It's time to sleep. Have pleasant dreams, my kings and queens. See you in the next video.